Hello and welcome to the Gooner Talk. Back again with you guys for another episode of the Arsenal News Show. Joining you every morning at 8 a.m. UK time. Hope you're doing good. Hope you're doing well. Thank you so much for making this, as always, a part of your morning routines. And thank you for everybody joining us live in the chat box. Hope you're doing well. Good morning. To Matt G, good morning to Nick Meadows, Amira, Black Shine, Paul, GGTV for you, Paul Granddaddy Gooner, Kaiser, good morning to Stephen, Odorile, Stevie, Tuckerboy, Rich, Arasilki, Frank, Jason, and Jose Machiavelli, and plenty more of you as well. Thank you so much for tuning in. Really appreciate your time. I'm now looking at the chat box going, why is there all the number? Oh, you're doing a countdown till when it starts. I was like, why is there a countdown in the chat box? But yes, plenty. Yes, Harvey, indeed. New haircut. Thank you for noticing. Much appreciated. The hat's not coming off though, because I haven't had a chance to sort it all out yet. But yes, indeed, did manage to get a new trim yesterday, hence the slightly looking a bit bald on the sides. But thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. Do drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you're new around here with those notifications turned on so you never miss a show. So let's get into today's stories. First of all, Arsenal drew. Oh, I got something stuck in my throat. Arsenal drew against Sporting Lisbon in the Europa League, and on full face, of course. Hector Bellerin in the next round. This is a piece of art from my article that went out talking to Jose Miguel, who is a sporting fan and Portuguese football expert. It's on the football.london website if you want to go and have a look and have a read of kind of the reaction, I suppose, from a sporting side of things. It was a really interesting, I think, opponent. I said in yesterday's show, that is certainly the team that I wanted to face. I wanted to go and get Sporting. I thought they were the best opponent that we probably could have got for this round. And when I spoke to Jose, he basically turned around and said they're looking at it as a bit of an impossible task to have to try and face us at the moment because of how good we are. But yes, in terms of who we could have got, I think it's the best possible outcome that we could have got for. Now, the full Europa League draw is available on your screens now. I'll talk you through it. We got Union Berlin against Union Saint-Gilloise, the Belgian side. Juventus are playing Freiburg. Sporting face ourselves. Roma play Real Sociedad. Sevilla play against Fenerbahce. Bayer Leverkusen against Ferencváros. Manchester United got probably the hardest draw they could have got, maybe besides Real Sociedad, in Real Betis, and Shakhtar Donetsk will play against Feyenoord. When you consider the fact that we could have got Union Berlin, who are currently top of the Bundesliga, Juventus, who obviously we know have got some very decent players, Roma, who are the side doing decently in Serie A, and Jose Mourinho and that narrative, Sevilla, obviously the kings of Europa League action, Bayer Leverkusen, fairly decent side, but haven't been going that well. They would have been my other pick if it wasn't Sporting. Shakhtar Donetsk was obviously the other option that we could have got, and having to go all the way to Eastern Europe to play that wouldn't have been the best for travel reasons. So it would have been either Leverkusen or Sporting would have been my two picks. I mean, Leverkusen are currently 10th in the Bundesliga. They're not having the best of seasons. Yeah, I think Sporting is probably the best outcome with what we could have got. And I'm very, very happy with that indeed. Arsenal's under-18s will play Manchester City or Oxford. I've said Man City here because I'm just kind of expecting them to win that game. That's probably disrespectful, but Man City have a very, very good under-18s side, and unsurprisingly, atop of the North Division. The winners of that will go on to face either West Ham, who are currently top of the South Division in the under-18s league, Preston or Southampton in the final. That is due to take place in April at the Emirates. So Arsenal will play indeed at the Emirates against either Man City or Oxford in the next round after, of course, Arsenal beat Cambridge United with some fantastic performances and a dramatic late win, as we like to put on these days as well. Now, Fulham dropped points against Wolves in the first action of the Premier League this weekend, unsurprisingly so. I think Fulham are doing fantastically, but there was always going to come a time when they were going to drop points at some stage. Sarabia getting his first goal. I think it's his first goal. It might be his second, actually, for Wolves. That was an interesting signing in January from PSG to get him through. I'm sure it was PSG. I'm pretty sure he was still playing at PSG. I'm going to have a quick check on that. He indeed did move from PSG. He was on loan at Sporting before that, ironically, our opponents in the Europa League. But yes, joined from PSG and is now getting his taste of Premier League action. And Manus Solomon, a player that was linked to Arsenal in the past, previously at Shakhtar, got his goal for Fulham in a 1-1 draw that will certainly help teams like Liverpool and Chelsea, who are trying to chase them down, currently above them in the table. Now, big news for today's game. Thomas Partey has indeed travelled to Leicester. Really good news for Arsenal. He will be available. That said, I'm not sure I'd start him. I think I would certainly not have to risk Partey coming to the team. I think you can bench him. I think Jorginho's been doing fantastically well. And should we need to bring on Partey in the second half, we can bring on Partey in the second half. But I don't necessarily think we need to start him and risk him when we've got a game in a few days' time against Everton, which we can then start him in that game. I think you can rest him, bring him on if you need, because Jorginho has done well. And I think, if anything, that's a big testament to how good and how highly we rate Jorginho in the team. So that's a really good bit of news and a good bit of squad depth that we've got available to us. Gabriel Jesus is getting closer to that Arsenal return. Mikel Arteta was very optimistic around Jesus, talking about how he's doing more and more outside. He said that his knee has not reacted to a lot of what they're kind of stressing and putting him through, which is a good sign. So hopefully that estimation of early March will indeed be true, and we might be able to see Gabriel Jesus back and maybe playing in that Europa League game against Sporting to kind of ease his way back into Premier League action. But yeah, I think Jesus' return nearing is such big news for Arsenal. It means we'll have him for the last 3 months of the season and the run-in as we push towards what we all hope to be a massive victory in a Premier League title race. Now, if you want to hear more about the game today, you can watch back our preview show from yesterday. I was joined by 3 fantastic members of our Discord server to talk all things Arsenal, talk all things Leicester, got our predicted lineups in there. Dom, Garrett, and James, who was a brand new debutant on our show from Indianapolis. I think Indianapolis. I'm pretty sure he said that, Indiana at least. And he came on to give his views along with Dom and Garrett as well. So yes, that was a really good preview show. I really enjoyed it. Really good chat about what might happen today, our thoughts on the lineups, predictions. So if you want to hear all of those thoughts, make sure you go and check that one out. I will indeed be at the game today. We'll be getting a train up this kind of mid-morning and then arriving in Leicester around midday-ish, I think, before heading to the stadium. Usually you have to try and get to the ground about 2 hours before kickoff. But I'm very familiar with Leicester, so it's going to be nostalgic going back to somewhere I used to spend a fair amount of time during my uni years when I was at Nottingham. Now, big announcement. I talked about this in yesterday's show, but GOONERPALOOZA is happening in Chicago. Now, GOONERPALOOZA is for those that don't know, it's along the lines of like Gooner Gras in America. It's a similar event for Arsenal fans, based in Chicago, and I'm going to be going, which I really am genuinely very excited for. I know that the channel has a lot of US and North American based listeners. About 40% of the people that tune into the podcast are actually North American based. So amazing amount of community we've got that do indeed watch and listen to the podcast. So if you would like to come along, get involved with an amazing run of events and fun times and a live podcast with not just me and my ugly mug, but I'll be joined by John, who'll be representing on the US side for TGT, but we'll also be doing the podcast in combination with the one, the only Arsenal Vision. Elliot and Paul will also be on the panel, and hosting it is some bloke called Mike from the Gooners Pod, which of course you'll be able to have a good time listening to him introduce and talk us through what will be happening. But lots of events going on. We're hoping that the Southampton game will be going ahead. It's a bit up in the air, of course, because of their participation in the FA Cup. But there's also the Thursday night game in the Europa League, should we progress past Sporting, which is taking place the night before GOONERPALOOZA starts. But I imagine that would be certainly something to get into Chicago to try and attend. But yes, lots of exciting stuff going on. If you want to get tickets, they will be coming out I think the registration opens on Friday, the 10th of March. But if you want to get kind of an update or a reminder, there's a link in today's video description. Go to that link, sign yourself up for the registration process, and you can get tickets, I believe, from March 10th. So there you go. I look forward to seeing as many of you there as feasibly possible. It'd be great. I really look forward to seeing as many fans of the channel as I can. Lastly, a show will be going out this morning. Myself and Sophie from the Highbury squad, we've joined forces with EE and Hope United. They approached us to see if we wanted to do a discussion about online homophobic abuse. As you know, that we've talked at length about some of the things that and the issues that have been going on around the club. You may remember a tweet that went up from the Arsenal account, which responded to a lot of abuse that the gay Gooners received. And you know that we talk about these issues a lot on the channel. And as soon as they offered the opportunity for us to have a chat about it, we jumped at the chance. I do want to stress that this isn't a sponsorship. I've not been paid to produce this show in any way, shape, or form. We have done it because we are very passionate about these topics. We're very passionate about trying to support these causes and to try and mitigate the abuse that people receive online. So this show will be going out around 9:30 this morning. So only in about an hour or so. Do please show it some support. Go and watch it. Go and listen to mine and Sophie's chat about how you can help report these issues and about how you can block people, report people, mute people, deal with it if you see it in stadiums, things like that. So yes, this show will be going out a little bit later on this morning. Our very own Aaron Ramsdale is a ambassador of Hope United and part of their team. So there's already the Arsenal links going strongly, but we were very honoured to be approached to have the opportunity to talk about such a great cause. So thank you to EE and Hope United for giving us the opportunity to do that. Now, of course, you can win a signed Bukayo Saka shirt. There is not long left in the competition. Just 3 days remain, and only 53 tickets are indeed left in the competition to win that signed and framed Bukayo Saka shirt that has a TV showing his highlight reels within the actual frame itself. Along with that, you can get a chance to win a Thomas Partey signed and framed Arsenal shirt just by buying a ticket, as well as a Tomiyasu signed and framed Arsenal boot, and a signed David Season Arsenal mount, as well as plenty of football site credit as well to enter plenty more competitions in the future. I do indeed encourage you to go and check on the Football Prizes website fairly regularly, because yesterday there was a William Saliba signed shirt that was kind of a 24-hour prize or a 12-hour prize. Sometimes they upload some cheeky little fun prizes like that, which you can win a signed Saliba shirt, which I know a lot of people got involved with yesterday. So I do encourage you to go and check the website every day for any updates or any special prizes that are going to be dropping. So that brings us to an end of part 1. Let's move to part 2 and your questions right after this. Okay, let's jump into the chat then and get some of your thoughts. Let's go to Maximia says, "Hi Tom, when are the 2 games against Sporting Lisbon scheduled?" Great question. I actually have written a whole piece about the 7-game, 23-day challenge over on football.london. I'll leave you a link to that in the chat box. But the 2 games that are due to be played are on Thursday, March 9th. That is the Thursday after we play Bournemouth at home. We then have Fulham away on Sunday, March 12th. And then we are at home to Sporting on Thursday, March 16th. So that's when the games will happen. Maxinho says, apparently Eddie is injured and Trossard will be playing false 9 today. What are your thoughts on this? Firstly, I can't confirm that. I know exactly where you've got that information, and I've seen it on social media myself. I can't say it's not true. I can't say that it's true. I personally haven't heard that. What I would say is that before the game against Villa, there was also some rumours around that Eddie Nketiah had been dropped, and he wasn't. So just be wary of that. I'm not saying it's not true. I'm just saying just be wary, because sometimes these rumors do come around. And I know that this source for today's bit of information has apparently got things right in the past. I've personally heard nothing, but as I say, that's not to say that it isn't the case. If it is the case, it's what I wanted, because I've wanted Trossard to play centre forward. I put Trossard in my lineup as centre forward for the preview show. So hypothetically, if Nketiah is not available, I would like to see Trossard play there, and I look forward to seeing it happen if that is indeed the case. Bradley says, how long away is Jesus from training with the first team? Again, I don't know for sure. We've been given the estimations that early March is when he's back. So you'd hope that he should be back in trading in the next couple of weeks or so. Let's go to Matt, who says, are you looking forward to celebrating St. Totteringham's Day this year? We haven't had a chance to celebrate St. Totteringham's Day since when? 2016? Was that the last time? That's actually pathetically long ago, isn't it, when you think about it? We really should be finishing above that lot more than we have done. But you got to respect the fact that they've done well. But what I would say is they've done well and they've still not managed to win a trophy. But yes, of course, we'll enjoy. I will bask in the glory of St. Totteringham's Day as soon as it indeed does come around. Amira says, was the pink kit just a figment of our imaginations? Leicester seem to be the perfect team to wear it against, and we're never going to see it again, are we? I don't know what kit we're playing in today. Let's have a quick look at what graphics the Arsenal Twitter account have been using. That usually gives you a bit of a hint as to what kit we're going to be using to play in. It looks like we're playing in red and white from the looks of things, which in fairness does make sense because we have no issue. But, I mean, we have gone to Leicester, I think, in the last few seasons and played in the away kit or the third kit. I remember last season, what did we do last season against Leicester? I know that we won, but I'm just watching actually clips on the Arsenal website of Alexis Sanchez's goal, that little dinked header over the top. You remember that a few years back? We're playing in our gold kit that season. I think that was the away kit for that year. So it's a strange one that we're not playing in our away kit, or especially the pink kit, because I think that would work. The last time we played in that kit was it all the way back against Crystal Palace? Was that the last time we played in that kit? It was a long time ago. Yeah, madness, really. We haven't been using that kit whatsoever. Let's go to Sideways Bonobo, who says, thought you were just going to plug your article without answering the question. No, I would never do that. Never. GGT for you says, hi, Tom. Can you please wish my daughter Maya a happy birthday? It's her birthday today and it would make her day. Maya, have a happy birthday and I hope you enjoy it. And I hope that the Arsenal can bring home 3 points for you. Let's go to... Marcus says, did you celebrate yesterday? It's been 15 years since Spurs last won a trophy. Why would I? We don't need to celebrate something like that. They're not relevant enough for me to celebrate anything to do with Spurs. I might have had a little chuckle, but I ain't celebrating anything to do with Spurs, even if it's their misfortune. Cameron says, what do you think of the plans going forward for Mario Koja-Dubry? I think the plans are probably going to be to eventually get him a loan. He's still very young, still got a lot of things to develop in his game. We get very attached to kind of these young players, Nwaneri, Koja-Dubry, Miles Lewis-Skelly, Rule Waters. But the fact of the matter is that the level between where they're playing at and the Premier League and the first team squad is still very, very different. And they're going to need more experience. They're going to need to go on loans. They need to get opportunities away. You think about Charlie Patino this season with Blackpool. You have to go and get those chances. So I assume the plan will be, if they deem him good enough, which as far as I'm aware, the club rates him very highly, then they'll get him a chance to go out on loan. And fingers crossed, we'll see him maybe given an opportunity in the cup games as soon as possible. Let's go to G1886, who says, would you play a full team in the Europa League or rotate, seeing as we have many games in those 23 days? I would rotate. I don't think I'd rotate the entire 11. I think you can rotate a fair number of players. Turner, Tomiyasu, Kivior, Tierney, Jorginho can come in if Partey is starting in the league again by then. Fabio Vieira, Trossard, Nelson. Hopefully Gabriel Jesus will be back by then. You can start playing him and easing him in. I suppose I have kind of named the whole team there, haven't I? Smith Rowe, we have a lot of players that we can use. So yes, indeed. Lindsay says, did I miss Saliba's? Oh my goodness. I think I actually did manage to miss. Did I miss Saliba's? How have I done that? Have I covered up? I reckon what I've done is I've covered up one of my slides with the preview. Yes, I did. Or somehow have I managed to delete it entirely? How have I done this? Oh, I covered it up with the I somehow managed to cover up the whole Saliba slide with the preview slide, so I completely didn't discuss it. Let's do that now. I'll have to include that in the show notes that we're talking about it now. Yes, thank you. Lindsay. Really appreciate you managing to remind me about that. Definitely should not have forgotten what is our headline story of the day. Yes, William Saliba was speaking on the Arsenal website. Has done a really fantastic interview, actually, on the Arsenal website. If you've not read it yet, I definitely encourage you to read it. In it, he talks a hell of a lot about kind of how happy he is at the club and what he wants to do. And specifically, let's have a quick look at this quote in particular. He says, "I want to win everything possible here and put the club back on the very top. I want to win every title. We all want to win the Premier League, and I've never won a trophy, so that's why I work every day. But we know we have 15 games left, and it's not going to be easy. We have to focus and never give up because the Premier League is hard." I mean, I don't know about you, but that is, without a doubt, the biggest hint I think you could get that this guy is committed to Arsenal and is going to be signing a brand new contract. Don't take it as gospel, but I think that what more could he say to convince us that he is going to be very much committed to Arsenal, to trying to put the club back on top, and fingers crossed we see that happen in the future. There you go. You're messing with me in the chat box now, and I don't appreciate it at all. Slidegate is back. Yes, indeed. Tom having another howler this morning. Indeed, yes. Well, there you go. We've discussed William Saliba's potential brand new contract hint. I don't know about you, but for me, that is without a doubt a huge hint that Saliba will indeed be staying at the club for the long term. Fingers crossed. Let's keep those fingers tightly crossed that we're going to see an update on his contract very soon. Byron says, Tom, what is your opinion of our run-in for the last 7 games? We've got Liverpool, Chelsea, City, and Newcastle. I think that's where the title will be decided. The last 7 games. We've got 15 games left, haven't we not? We're talking about the last 7 already. All right, let's have a look at the last 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So, our last 7 games of the season are, hold on, why have I managed to lose this already? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So, the last 7 games are Southampton at home. We hope it might get suspended actually because of it depends on their inclusion in the FA Cup. But yes, we've got Southampton at home, Manchester City away, Chelsea at home, Newcastle away. Wow, I mean that run of 3 games, Man City, Chelsea, Newcastle, very tough indeed. We've then got Brighton at home, which again is not an easy game. We've then got Nottingham Forest away, which is a game I'm very much looking forward to. And then Wolves at home on the final day of the season, which for them could be a big relegation game, or it could mean absolutely nothing. So very difficult indeed to kind of guess or know how it's going to go. But I agree with you, Byron. I think that the league will be decided in those 7 games. Let's go to Cass. This is just a general question. If you could sit down and interview any present or past Arsenal players, who would it be? Now, I did cheat when I was asked this question about the other day when I said what Arsenal player, past or present, would I sit down with or spend a day with? And I said Arteta, because it means you'd be able to go around the whole club, wouldn't it, if you were spending the day with Arteta? And I suppose the interview here would be similar. I'd probably say Arteta. But if I can't cheat and I have to pick somebody else, probably Mesut Ozil. I think that would prove to be a very good interview, finding out some of the stuff that goes on. Not because I necessarily have a great fondness for Ozil, but just to kind of ask and get his side of the story. So Ozil would probably the player that I choose, or Aubameyang. I like, from a journalist perspective, it's me. I'm not being selfish and picking a player just so I can fawn over how great they are or whatever. It's more so because I want to I want to get all the dirt. That's what I want. You can tell I'm going full journalist with this. So yeah, Aubameyang, Ozil, Lacazette maybe, Mustafi. Got to get all the controversial ones. Van Persie, Nasri, Fabregas. Yeah, maybe some of these guys. I think they'd make for really good interviews. That's what you got to look for. It's not necessarily just going, I want to speak to Thierry Henry because, of his links with Arsenal and all the legendary status that he has, or Dennis Bergkamp. From my perspective, I'd rather interview someone like Ozil or like that to get, a really interesting side and a great story out of it. So that's kind of where my head and how it works. So there you go. Jermaine says, finally got the chance to message live. Keep up the great work, Tom. Thank you, Jermaine. Actually, to be fair, you said keep up the good work. I actually upgraded your compliment. That's such a self-centered thing to do. Jermaine, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Francois says, how much can it cost to spend a day with Arteta? Let me know. I could fit the bill. I don't think you'd ever be able to buy that opportunity at all. Arteta and the club are very. See, that said, Amazon did pay 10 million, I think, something around that, allegedly around that amount of money, to film for the season. So I suppose if you narrow that down to one day, I mean, what's that? 10 million divided by 365. I mean, it's not that many days they were there. It's probably about more 200 days they were there. So let's do 10 million divided by 250. If we do an estimate of the amount of days they might have spent with the club, £40,000. So £40,000 a day. That's how much Amazon paid to be around the club, around that figure, if we're using that as a guide. So there you go. That's how much it would cost if you can afford it. But I don't even know if they'd accept 40 grand for a day's kind of working in and around the club or seeing what's going on at the club. So there you go. I'm gonna end the show there. Sorry, it's slightly shorter than usual, but A, I've got to get this other show out for around 9 o'clock. B, I'm going up to Leicester this morning, so I've got to get ready to go. But thank you so much, everybody that's tuned in to this morning's show. If you're going up to Leicester, stay safe, stay well, get up there safely and come back safely. And I hope you enjoy your trip. I certainly hope that I will as well. And that we get a massive 3 points away from home once again. It's been a pleasure to speak to you. Do check out our preview show from yesterday. Do check out the link in the description for GOONERPALOOZA in Chicago in April. And please do watch our show on tackling homophobic abuse a little bit later on this morning. We really appreciate your time and your support, as always. It means the world. Do drop a like on the video. Do subscribe to the channel if you're new. And as always, up the Arsenal.